What's going on, everybody? Appreciate y'all tuning the channel today here at 323 Fabrication. This is going to be a little quick how-to video. This is a 2019 Ram 3500. Now this is a cab and chassis truck, but I'm gonna change oil in it today. I'm gonna show y'all how to do that real quick. Just kind of a how-to video. I gotta change oil anyway, so I might as well make a video about it. But it's fairly simple. I run full synthetic Rotella. All right, let me turn the camera around and show y'all. All right, so 19 Ram 3500. Now this is a high output 400 horse 1,000 foot-pound Aisin truck. It's got an Aisin transmission. It's 4-wheel drive, 14 gear. It's got 40,000 miles on it. The book on this new truck, I had a 14, and the new truck's different. They're saying every 15,000 miles, but I don't do that. I do 10,000 miles on my oil changes. I do go longer on my fuel filters. This truck has already had the CP3 or whatever, the recall done on it. But it's been a good truck so far. I really like it. It's obviously it's a welding rig. I got a custom built bed and a big blue miller and some wheels and tires. And I tell y'all, after leaving mud tires and going these all-terrains, I'll never go back to mud tires on a truck that I drive a bunch. But anyway, so what we've got, I run Wix filters, either Wix or Mopar, but there's your part number. And then I'm running, this is actually, it's a synthetic blend. I said it's full synthetic blend. This is a T5 10W30, 3 gallons of that. And then prior to the fuel pump swap, I was running Hot Shot Secret fuel additive in every tank to keep the pump lubed. And now I don't do it every tank, but I do it kind of regular. But anyway, we're gonna get started. This truck's a little bit of a pain. The worst part of it's the oil filter, which is right in there, other side of the turbo. So this truck has been running for maybe 10 minutes, and I shut it back off, try to get a little heat in the oil, help get it out of the motor better. The biggest problem with that, it's not hard to get it loose, but when you flip it over, it goes everywhere, and y'all are gonna see that here in just a minute. But let's get under the truck and start draining the oil, and it holds 3 gallons. All right, y'all, we're under the truck. I got in behind the tire on the passenger side. The plug is just a 3/8 drive. I use about a 6-inch extension and a pull handle. Shouldn't be too awful tight. Let it drain. And now I pull the oil fill cap so that it lets the motor breathe better, I guess. More crankcase ventilation, drains better. The oil's not real hot, but it is a little warm. So there you go. By the way, this truck's on 33s. Those are 22s, and it's got a leveling kit. Nothing super big, but it does make it a little easier to get under because, you know, being 4-wheel drive. There's your 4-wheel drive actuator, locks the front axle in. I'm finna get attacked by our new shop puppy. Hey, what are you doing? You gotta wait. I just use a cheap pair of oil filter pliers, and you just got to reach through there and turn it off, and it's gonna make a mess. There's no way around it, unfortunately. Not that I found anyway. I guess you could, well, you can't really see the bottom of the filter to punch a hole in it, but there is a drain. Let me get it off a little farther. All right, it's dripping a little bit, but there's a plastic catch little deal underneath it. So I use a big drip pan, and then there's a little plastic drain where it drips right on the steering cross member. So I got 2 drain pans. See, I'm still letting the oil pan drip, but finna make a mess. And see, when I get done with this, I'll get some brake clean and hose all this steering stuff off. But you can tell where it's been oily before. It just makes a mess because you got to take this thing off, take it down, and then flip it over so it'll pour out, and then you got to fish it out of this hole right here. It's really not ideal. I've tried taking it out the top, and there's just not enough room, not without pulling the air box and stuff. And this is a S&B, and there's really, I mean, that oil filter's down in there. It's just not worth the trouble. Just make a mess. There you go. Beautiful, ain't it? All over everything. There's even some over there. So I flip it over and let it drain. till it's pretty much done draining, because then you got to fish it out and it gets all over everything else too. It's wonderful. It's a great design. But I guess I should be thankful they gave me a little plastic drain thing that drips on everything. It's all good though. We'll get it cleaned up. I got, well, y'all can't see it from here, but anyway, yeah, you can, right there. Got the plug back in the pan, got that drain pan pulled out from under the truck. This one's still under here because I'm gonna hose this down. But I took just old nasty rag and wiped as much of the oil off as I could, and I'm gonna leave this here just in case I spill some, but, or well, and it'll catch some of the brake cleaning stuff. But I'm gonna get out from under this truck. I would really recommend either a Wix or a Mopar filter. I prefer Wix. I know they're, you know, $8 or $9 more or whatever, but I mean, you're talking about $9 versus that's probably a $5,000 or $7,000 long block if you had to put a motor in it, plus all the time and labor. But what I do is I'll get this filter out and I'll lube up the O-ring, get it in there, and it is really hard to pre-fill these filters. I really like to pre-fill my filters, but on this truck it's really a pain. Now, alright, now I'll dump a gallon and I'll set it like that so that it all runs down to that bottom corner. Then I'll try and get, I don't get it all out, but I get as much of it as I can. I'm not gonna lie, y'all, I'm pretty sure this truck's using oil. Between oil changes last time, it appeared to be 2 to 3 quarts low by the time we changed the oil again. So, I don't know. I don't weld with it as much as I used to. I mostly haul rusty cars home. If you're new to the channel, there's a lot of cool old rusty cars on here. But that's what I do. That's how I do it. I'm gonna keep a better eye on it this time. There's not hardly any oil in the filter. I put like a splash in there and then use my finger to lube the O-ring up, put the filter on. And then what I do is I'll get this thing full, get the cap back on it, spray off underneath, and then pull the pan and everything else. That way I can see if I got any leaks when I fire it up. Now, I always check my old filter, make sure I didn't leave the O-ring on the truck and double O-ring it. I did that one time when I was in high school with a Ford Expedition with a V8 in it and made a real mess in the driveway. So I've always been particular about paying attention to that. Okay, got it hosed down with brake clean. It's evaporating. There's still going to be a few drips, some residual in that cross member and in that plastic little catch thing up there. But the idea is you want to make sure, you know, you can see if it's like really leaking or anything. And y'all, when I crank this truck, obviously this is a new truck, so it's got digital gauges and junk like that. And well, I guess it's got some traditional gauges, but it doesn't have, well, yeah, it does. It's got oil pressure. Look at there. Look at it. So oil pressure gauge there. And then what I like to do is cut it on. Do that, and then let's see.
This is
right there. That'll show me. Oops. Get rid of all these things. All right, let's see. Oops, wrong way. Right there. So now I got my oil pressure on the bottom, and I'll be able to see it when it cranks. So I'm gonna set y'all right on the screen, let y'all watch it so I can match the brake pedal. Oops, gotta clear it again, go back. I already know because I can see the other gauge, but look, already got oil pressure, we're good to go. Everything's happy. So I'm gonna let it run just a minute, look under it, and then I'll reset my trip or oil change, what you call it. But I'm gonna look under here. Got no leaks, so we're good to go. Truck's happy. And then what I do is, I'll show you, hang on just a second. Okay, so what I do every time, and I save these every time, so I take the lid off of my oil filter box. That's my part number. I know what oil filter I used. I write what oil I run, and I write the mileage. And then I stick it over there in the glove box with the other ones and with all my paperwork for the truck. That way I always know, you know, kind of got a record of it in case there's ever any issues. Because obviously I don't pay the dealer to do my maintenance on my truck. Now that we're satisfied, got the oil change, got the truck fired back up, everything looks good. I'm gonna check my engine oil. You're supposed to check the ATF with it running, I do believe, and some temp in it. And we're coming up next oil change. I think I'm gonna be due for servicing the trans as well. And if I can afford to, I'm gonna buy a deep pan with fins on it, add a little bit more capacity to it. Not a super huge fan of the ASIN, but you know, out of the box with a stock truck, it's pretty good trans. I need to check my coolant levels. Looks like it might be a hair low. You know, just kind of look the truck over, make sure everything's happy, power steering fluid and all that. And then we'll close up and be done. And the only other thing I got left to do is I've got my empty jugs. I'll pour all my used motor oil in it, and that'll be done. We'll wrap it up. See, there's one of those rusty cars I was talking about. But there you go, nothing to it. I prefer to do my own maintenance because I know it's been done. You know, you hear horror stories. You know, I know there's good techs out there, y'all. And I'm sure there's, you know, good places to go get maintenance done, but I prefer to do my own maintenance. I know it's done. I know it's done right. I know what's in the truck. I know what oil filter's on the truck. You know, and 3 gallons, that's probably a $80 or $100 oil change right there. And I don't know what it would be to take it anywhere. I have not paid anyone to change my oil in my entire life. I'm 31 years old. So I was taught to do it at 14, 15, something like that, and have done it ever since. You know, this truck, it was due at 40, but I think when it was due at 30, I had gone over a couple hundred miles, so we're only a couple hundred miles over that. It's really not a big deal, but I try to do my oil changes every 10,000 on this 6.7 liter Cummins Turbo Diesel. My 2014 was the same way. That was a 3/4 ton truck, but I changed it the same way. It just had a 68 RFE, and it was not a high output truck from the factory, but it was tuned and deleted. This one has a warranty, so it is not tuned and deleted. Although I do miss driving around in something that sounded like a, you know, a Big Mac pulling a log trailer. That being said, look, I appreciate y'all watching the video. If you like it and you learned something, throw a thumbs up down there for me. Leave me a comment. Tell me, you know, what you did and didn't like. If you got any questions, I do my best to answer them. You know, and if you think maybe you'd like to see some cool little hot rods, there's one. Here, let me walk you over here real quick. There's 2. There's 3. There's 4, 5, 6, and I'm not gonna walk all the way out there, just, you know, because I was trying to make kind of a quick short video just to help anybody out that was curious about doing their own maintenance. But there's 6 more out there, and that pink Cadillac right there in the center is getting a 12 valve Cummins swap. So if y'all are into Cummins turbo diesels, that's the plan with that car. It might be a while, but I mean, that's something I've been working on. It took me 3 or 4 years to find a car. It took me a couple of years to find a truck. I've got a 96 2-wheel drive, built automatic, turned up 12 valve dually that's pretty gnarly. And so that's the plan with that car. Bag it, come and swap it. But anyway, guys, I'm long-winded. It's all good. I appreciate y'all watching the video. Y'all have a good one and be blessed.